The jungle canopy hummed with a dozen alien bugs, arguing about territory when Kaylor discovered, quite abruptly, that he might be the first human in history to get murdered by a woman barely the size of his backpack. Or so she claimed. She lay on her stomach inside his canvas tent, long silver hair spilling over the blankets like moonlight having a meltdown. Her green skin shimmered faintly, patterned with the soft glow of her species. Two sharp cat-like ears kept flicking in irritation as she clutched the purple blanket dramatically. "Take it out!" she hissed, her voice halfway between furious war cry and confused plea. "It's going to kill me!" Kaylor blinked, crouching beside her. "You say that every time I touch your shoulder. It feels like a stab," she snapped. "Is that normal for humans? Is pain your love language?" He snorted. "It's called a knot, Letha. Your shoulder muscles are tight. I'm literally giving you a massage." "A what?" "A massage," he said, gently pressing again. She squeaked like someone stepping on a cosmic rubber duck. "See?" she gasped. "Assault! I am under attack! The human ritual is too violent." Kaylor rubbed his temples. "You begged me to do this because you said your armor was too heavy and your battle posture locked your spine." "I did not beg," Litha said with wounded pride. "I merely threatened you politely." "That wasn't polite. It was polite for my culture." He raised an eyebrow. "You said, and I quote, 'Human, fix my back or I'll shave off your eyebrows while you sleep.'" Litha gave a tiny shrug. A gentle suggestion. Despite himself, Kaylor laughed. Traveling alone through Zitharan jungles had felt like slow death. Meeting Litha, accidentally rescuing her from a carnivorous vine that fondled anything with a pulse, had been an upgrade he didn't expect. She lifted her head slightly, her pale silver eyes narrowing. "Do not laugh at me. My pain is deeply heroic. You're dramatic for a warrior." "I'm a very small warrior," she corrected. "We specialize in dramatic impact." Her gaze softened a little as Kaylor's hands resumed their careful, slow movements along her back. She didn't squeak this time, only hummed like a tiny engine struggling to start. "There, see?" he murmured. "Not so bad. I still think you're trying to rearrange my organs. Your organs are fine." "How do you know?" She shot back. "Have you ever studied Zinthari anatomy? I mean, sorta? You gave me a 3-hour lecture. That was about mating customs." He choked on air. "How was I supposed to know that?" "You started with, 'Our body structure is unique.'" "It was unique," she said proudly. "Most species do not fold." Kaylor paused. "Let's not revisit that conversation." Litha smirked, clearly enjoying how flustered he looked. Her tail, thin, striped, and absolutely not something she admitted she had, flicked beneath the blanket like a smug punctuation mark. "You humans blush too easily," she said. "It's adorable." "You planned that?" he muttered. "Of course." "You humans are large, clumsy, embarrassingly emotional, and far too fun to tease." "Thanks. You're welcome." Her breathing slowed as he continued working on her shoulder. For the first time since he'd met her, she wasn't making threats or lecturing him on proper warrior posture or explaining how she could defeat a predator 50 times her size with just one emotional moment and a sharp rock. Instead, she was soft, quiet, almost relaxed. "Almost, Kaylor," she murmured. "Yes? When will it be over?" "The knot? Not long. It's almost loose." She exhaled dramatically. "Good. If I die, bury me with my spear. And that shiny metal spoon from your pack." "You want my spoon?" "It feels powerful." "It's a spoon, Litha. Your overconfidence in these human artifacts is disturbing." He chuckled again. He couldn't help it. She was chaos, wrapped in cuteness, wrapped in questionable battle strategies. Silence settled between them, warm and peaceful, broken only by distant birds making sounds like malfunctioning alarm clocks. Litha spoke quietly. "Human? What? I am grateful." Kaylor blinked. "For the massage?" "For keeping me safe." She shifted enough to meet his eyes. "I left my clan to prove that I could survive the world. But the world attempted to swallow me within 20 minutes. That vine was aggressive. It licked me," she hissed. "Yeah, that was weird. And you cut me free." "Well, I couldn't just leave you." Her expression softened completely. A dangerous softness, the kind that sneaks into your chest and starts building a nest. "You are strange," she whispered. "But you are good. A good human." For some reason, that small approval hit him harder than any metal. Warmth curled in his stomach. That warmth was immediately interrupted when Litha smirked. "And your hands are surprisingly competent for someone with fingers that look like oversized noodles." "There, it is," he groaned. She stretched lazily, ears flicking. "I will reward your service by not stabbing you today." "Gee, thanks." "You're welcome." He shook his head, amused. She was impossible, but she was his impossible. Suddenly she stiffened again. "Kaelor, wait, there. There it is again. It's going to kill me. Take it out. Litha, that's your spine." "My what?" "Your spine." "It's supposed to be there," she gasped, like she'd learned her body contained bones. "Well, remove it. You can't live without your spine. That's what they want you to think." He laughed so hard he fell backward onto the blanket. Litha glared. "You humans are useless in medical emergencies. It's your own spine." "A betrayal." He wiped away a tear from laughing. "I'm not removing anything. Then I'm dying dramatically." She flopped onto the blanket with all the exaggerated suffering of an opera singer falling into a pit. Kaelor sighed, lying beside her. "If you die dramatically, who will insult me?" She peeked at him. "Maybe I'll live a little longer. You better. We still need to find your clan." Her face softened, this time without humor. "Kaelor, yes? When we do, and when you leave, will you forget me?" His chest tightened unexpectedly. "Not a chance." She smiled, real, gentle, and without mischief. The jungle hummed around them, and just when Kaelor thought the moment was perfect, Litha poked his chest. "Good, because I need a human shield for tomorrow." "There it is," he muttered. She burst into laughter, small, musical, wild, and Kaelor knew without doubt he was doomed, in the best possible way. Kaelor woke up the next morning with two realizations. First, Litha slept like a tiny, adorable dragon that had claimed his arm as her hoard. Second, his arm was entirely numb. She was sprawled across him, limbs tangled, tail wrapped around his wrist in a way that felt suspiciously intentional. Her silver hair covered half his chest, warm and soft, and her tiny fingers pinched the fabric of his shirt like she feared someone might steal him overnight. He tried moving. Her grip tightened instantly. "Don't. You're awake?" "I was awake the moment your thoughts got loud," she muttered, eyes still closed. "My thoughts?" "Yes, they sound like stomping." "That's not how thoughts work." "For you, maybe," he sighed. "Litha, my arm is dying." "No, it is merely transforming into a warrior limb. It feels like it's rotting, a sign of strength." Litha, she finally cracked open one eye. The soft morning light from the open tent flap made her pale irises glow like twin moons judging him. "Fine," she huffed dramatically, unwinding herself. "Be free, weak human limb." Pins and needles flooded his hand as sensation returned. "Oh, gods, do not whimper. It makes you sound like a wounded squirrel. Is this how you encourage people?" "Yes. Be grateful." He rubbed his arm while she stretched like a cat or a smug gremlin, depending on angle. Her ears twitched as she inhaled deeply. "Smell that?" she asked, eyes gleaming. "Fresh jungle air?" "No, breakfast." Kaelor blinked. "We didn't cook anything." "Oh, then the smell must be something dying. That's less comforting." She shrugged, unconcerned. "Nature is always cooking something." He decided not to investigate. After a few minutes, they cleaned up the tent and prepared to move. Kaelor strapped his pack on while Litha patted down her tiny satchel, containing exactly 3 items: a knife, a rock she claimed held spiritual value, and the metal spoon she refused to let him reclaim. "You ready?" he asked. "I was born ready." "You told me you were. Born inside a warm egg and you didn't hatch for 2 extra days because you were too comfortable. That is a form of readiness. Pretty sure it's the opposite. Do not disrespect my cultural incubation traditions," he laughed, shaking his head as they set off through the jungle. Litha hopped from log to log with impossible balance, while Kalor navigated roots like an uncoordinated giraffe. At one point, she looked back, watching him stumble over a vine. "Why do you move like that?" she asked, ears flicking curiously. "Like what?" "Like your bones are surprised to be inside your body." "My bones are fine." They looked confused. He glared half-heartedly. "Some of us aren't built like spring-loaded acrobats." "Practice," she said casually. "You can't teach me to move like that." "Of course not. Your legs are too long. You'd trip over your ego." He stopped walking. "Did you just call me full of myself?" "No," she said sweetly. "Just large and inconvenient." He rolled his eyes. "Thanks. You're welcome." Despite the constant teasing, there was an odd comfort in their rhythm, like two puzzle pieces made of entirely different materials that still somehow snapped together. Their path eventually led to a river glowing with faint bioluminescent algae, its surface sparkling like spilled stars. Litha knelt by the water, scooping a handful and letting it drip through her fingers. "It's safe to drink," she said. "You sure?" Kalor asked. "Yes, you said that yesterday." And the water tried to climb out of the cup. It was greeting us. It hissed. An affectionate hiss. Kalor crouched beside her. "I'll take your word for it." "You should. I am wise." "You're tiny, and yet still wiser." He couldn't argue. While he filled the bottle, Litha dipped her feet into the cool water, sighing. "Kalor, You should wash." He paused. "Excuse me?" "You smell like human suffering." "That's specific. Your clothes are sweating." "Clothes can't—" "Okay, fine, maybe a little." She nodded firmly. "You cannot meet my clan smelling like a damp cave." "I didn't know we were close." "We are not close. But we must be prepared at all times. My clan can appear anywhere." "Anywhere." "Yes, especially when you least expect it." "For dramatic effect," he blinked. "Your family ambushes people?" "Only the ones they care about." "That's concerning. Love is a battlefield." Kalor stared. "Is everything a battlefield to you?" "Not everything," she said thoughtfully. "Sleeping is peaceful." "You stabbed me in your sleep." "Yes, peacefully." He groaned. She kicked water at him playfully. "Come on, wash, I will supervise." "No thanks. It is essential." "Litha," she smirked. "If you do not wash, I will describe your smell to every creature we meet." "That's sample description. He reeks of damp regret." He sighed. "I'll wash." "Good. I will make sure no predators attack while you bathe." "That's thoughtful. With your smell gone, they might get bold." "Thanks." "You're welcome." Kalor rinsed off quickly, trying not to think too hard about the fact that a warrior barely 3 feet tall was guarding him like he was a helpless toddler. Litha perched on a rock, staring into the jungle with exaggerated seriousness. When he finished, she inspected him with narrowed eyes. "Acceptable. Glad to hear it. The damp regret has lessened." He threw water at her. She dodged gracefully, ears twitching. "That was rude," she announced. "You started it." "Yes, but mine was cute. Yours was violent." Kalor shook his head and continued walking. Litha bounced after him, occasionally poking his arm, testing his patience, or commenting on the shape of trees. "That one looks guilty," she'd say. Eventually, the forest thinned into a clearing surrounded by tall stone pillars covered in runes. Kalor paused. "What's this?" Litha approached one stone reverently. "Ancient markers. For what?" She turned slowly, eyes glowing with mischief. "Challenges." Kalor's stomach dropped. No more challenges." "Yes," she said, nodding far too eagerly. "A test of strength. I'm not wrestling another plant. That plant wanted to court you. It tried to swallow me." "Romantic swallowing," she corrected. "It's different." "No." She ignored him and tapped the stone. With a low rumble, glowing symbols shimmered to life, lighting up the ring of pillars one by one. Kalor stepped back. "Litha, what did you activate?" "A trial," she said proudly. "A trial for what?" "To prove you are worthy to meet my clan." "We're doing this now?" "Yes. I didn't study." "Good. Studying is for cowards." She darted to the center of the clearing and motioned for him to follow. "Kalor, come. Is this safe?" Probably. Probably? Yes, not everything in life must be certain. That is the fastest way to boredom. He reluctantly joined her, eyeing the glowing stones. All right, he sighed. What's the challenge? Fighting? Jumping? Solving riddles? Wrestling a cosmic bear? She shook her head. No, something far more dangerous. His heart dropped. What? She stepped closer, tilting her head up. You must answer my questions honestly. He blinked. That's it? Yes, that's not dangerous. It is extremely dangerous, she corrected. Honesty is where relationships perish. That's dark. Truth is the greatest combat. Kaylor folded his arms. Fine. Ask. She smiled with slow, lethal satisfaction, the exact smile of someone about to commit war crimes with questions. Question 1, she said. Do you find me attractive? Kaylor choked on air so hard he nearly died. What? You can't just... I can. It is my challenge. He rubbed his face. You want honesty? Yes, he looked at her. Really looked. The silver hair, the glowing eyes, the fierce energy, the way her ears betrayed every emotion she tried to hide. Yes, he said quietly. I do. Her pupils widened. Good. Good. That's all you're going to say? Yes, I am pleased. That's great. Next question. He braced himself. Would you protect me? She asked, voice low, even if it was dangerous? Absolutely. No hesitation? You're the only reason I'm not dead in this jungle already. She blinked, touched. Oh, yeah, I did not expect that answer. You asked for honesty. She nodded slowly. Yes, and I appreciate it. Silence stretched, warm and soft. Then she smirked again. Final question. Uh-oh. She stepped closer, so small she barely came up to his sternum. Her voice dropped to a purr. If my clan asks whether I have already chosen you as companion, what will you say? Kaylor's brain shut down for several seconds. What does companion mean? He asked cautiously. It is a delicate term in my culture, she said, meaning someone I allow to touch my things. That sounds vague. It includes armor, weapons, food, my hair, and other things? Other things? Yes, very private things. He paled. And, she continued, it also means someone I have decided to keep. Keep? Yes. You humans use the inaccurate term relationship. Kaylor blinked. Are you asking if I'm your boyfriend? She tilted her head. Boyfriend, she tasted the words like candy. Yes, that. The runes glowed brighter, intensifying the atmosphere. Kaylor, she murmured. Do you want to be mine? His heart hit maximum speed. He opened his mouth, but the ground shook violently before he could answer. Litha's ears shot up. They're here. Who? My clan, she whispered. The runes blazed. The jungle trembled. Kaylor swallowed hard because he had a feeling. This was going to get very complicated. The ground trembled like a giant beast waking up from a nap it did not consent to. Leaves shook. Vines shivered. Somewhere in the distance, a creature screamed, "Nope!" and ran the other direction. Kaylor wasn't sure he blamed it. From between the trees, shapes moved, small, fast, and deadly. A dozen glowing eyes peered through the foliage, darting closer in coordinated silence. Letha, Kaylor said slowly, is your clan hostile? Not hostile, she whispered. Thank the stars. They are violently affectionate, he blinked. That sounds worse. It depends on your survival skills. That definitely sounds worse. Before he could press for details, several small figures leapt from the trees with the dramatic flair of creatures who enjoyed making their own entrance music. They were like Litha, green skin, glowing eyes, sharp ears, but each one carried weapons they absolutely did not need. Spears, tiny crossbows, knives the size of Kaylor's thumb, and one individual wielded what looked like a spoon strapped to a stick. The spoon warrior pointed at him. Human! Kaylor froze. Litha waved casually. Hello, everyone! The clan erupted into excited shrieks, so high-pitched Kaylor was surprised his skull didn't split. One darted to Litha. You're alive! Another, And you brought a giant. A third poked Kalor's calf like testing livestock. Is he dangerous? Litha answered before Kalor could defend himself. Yes. Very. What? Kalor sputtered. She elbowed him discreetly. It's a compliment. The clan circled him with fascinated interest, as though he were a new type of exotic fruit, and they were deciding if he was poisonous or delicious. One, who appeared older, sturdier, and had a forehead mark indicating rank, stepped forward. I am Elder Sithri. I welcome you, giant human Kalor. Kalor bowed a bit awkwardly. Thank you, Sithri sniffed dramatically. He smells acceptable, Litha smirked. Told you washing was necessary, he sighed. You win. The elder studied Kalor with the intensity of someone trying to solve a difficult math problem. So, you travel with Litha? Yes. Why? Kalor opened his mouth, but Litha cut in. He rescued me from a vine, the entire clan gasped. Sithri put a hand to her chest. A vine? The hungry kind? Yes, a collective horrified gasp. Another warrior trembled. Did it lick you? Yes. Chaos, instant chaos. The licking vine has returned. Where? Is it tracking her? Do they hold grudges? They hold everything. Kalor held up his hands. It's okay. It's dead now. Silence. Every eye turned to him. You killed it? C3 whispered. Yes, I sliced it apart. With a single motion, the entire clan backed up one synchronized step. Litha leaned close and whispered, You've impressed them? Why do they look terrified? That is what impressed looks like. The clan began whispering feverishly. He killed the vine! With only one body? He must be extremely strong. Does he fold like us? Or does he creak? Kalor swallowed. I definitely don't fold. More whispers. Rare. Exotic. Dangerously stiff. Litha shot him a look that absolutely screamed, Don't laugh. He failed. The elder regained control. Litha, daughter of our clan, returning warrior, we must ask you an important question. Litha tensed. What question? Sithri nodded gravely. Has the human touched your things? The clan gasped like a choir on command. Kalor coughed on nothing. Excuse me, what? Litha lifted her chin. Yes, he has, the clan shrieked. He touched her stuff. Her weapons? Her armor? Her hair? Someone fainted dramatically into a bush. Sithri closed her eyes in deep seriousness. Then you have chosen him, Kalor blinked. Chosen? For what? Litha stepped closer, cheeks glowing faintly. Companionship. That word again. It is sacred, she said firmly. Does it mean what I think it means? He asked. Yes, Elder Sithri said. It means your bond is official, Kalor sputtered. Official? The clan cheered. Litha's tail flicked with shy pride. Well, yes, that is usually how it works. Kalor's brain spun like a broken turbine. Litha, you didn't tell me touching your things was a marriage proposal. It is not that, she said. He exhaled. Oh, it is a pre-marriage proposal. He inhaled his next breath so sharply he nearly swallowed a bug. Litha. She held up both hands. Don't panic. It simply means my clan acknowledges that you are my chosen companion. Kalor stared at her. And what if I didn't know that? You know now. That's helpful? Good, she said. Because if you rejected it, my clan would challenge you. A warrior brandished 2 tiny knives and grinned. To the death. Kalor's voice rose an octave. Can we not choose violence for a friendship misunderstanding? Litha tugged his sleeve gently. Do not yell. They think yelling is flirting. Kalor shut his mouth instantly. 7 warriors swooned dramatically. Oh, stars, he whispered. I'm accidentally flirting with everybody. Only me, Litha corrected. To them, you sound like an overexcited thundercloud. Sithri raised an eyebrow. Loud, strong, and he kills vines. I approve, the clan murmured agreement. Litha squared her shoulders proudly. We accept your approval. Kalor whispered, Do I get a say? No, she whispered back. But I am open to listening to your complaints for comedic purposes. The elder clapped her hands. Prepare the bonding trial. Kalor froze. The what? Litha bit her lip. Yes, that. He grabbed her shoulders gently. Explain, now! It is a test, she said. For what? She hesitated. To see if we are compatible. Compatible how? She waved her hands quickly. Not like that. Not in a scandalous way. It's more emotional, physical, spiritual, and slightly dangerous. Slightly. 1 or 2 bruises. Litha, don't worry, she said brightly. I'll protect you. You're the size of my backpack. And yet, somehow, braver. Sithri beckoned them to a wide stone platform surrounded by glowing flowers. The clan swarmed around them, forming a circle, chanting in excitement. Kaelor whispered, "Should I be worried?" "Absolutely." "Oh, great." "Worry makes you alert," she said wisely. He grumbled. "What do I have to do for this bonding trial?" She clasped his hand. "Follow my lead," he swallowed. "Okay." The elder raised her hands. "Begin." The first trial was 1 word, trust. Litha hopped onto a boulder and crossed her arms proudly. "Kaelor, catch me." "Catch you?" "You're like 20 feet away." "Yes." "How am I supposed to, holy—" She leapt, like a green meteor with intent. Kaelor ran instinctively, arms out, absolute panic as she soared through the air. He caught her, barely, stumbling back with her tiny body clinging to his chest. She blinked up at him. "You did not drop me, because you tried to die." "That was trust. That was suicide." She grinned. "We passed." He set her down, breathless. "Elaborate before you leap next time." "Where is the fun in that?" The clan cheered wildly. Sithri clapped. "Next trial." "Emotional honesty." Kaelor groaned. "Oh no, not this again." Litha stood in front of him, hands behind her back, eyes bright. "Kaelor, tell me one thing you like about me." He blinked. "Just one?" "Yes," he exhaled. His heart thudded. He tried to think of something safe, something that wouldn't make the clan start planning a wedding. Instead, the truth spilled out. "I like the way you look at me," he said softly. "Like I'm more than I think I am." Litha froze, her face flushed, a deep shimmering glow. Her ears folded backward, overwhelmed. The clan collectively squealed like someone had stepped on a choir of excited birds. Sithri dabbed her eyes. "Young romance." "So dramatic." Litha cleared her throat furiously. Good, that was acceptable," Kaelor smirked. "You're flustered." "I am not. You're glowing. I always glow. You're glowing more." "Shut up," she muttered, but her tail flicked happily. Sithri raised both hands again. "Final trial." The ground shook beneath them as the flowers around the platform pulsed with light. Kaelor tensed. "What now?" The elder grinned with the unhinged delight of someone who enjoyed chaos. "Protectiveness!" "Oh, stars," Kaelor whispered. "What do I—" He didn't get to finish. A massive creature crashed through the trees, a jungle beast 10 feet tall, covered in shimmering black fur, horns spiraling like dark moons, eyes glowing crimson. It roared loud enough to make the trees shiver. Kaelor immediately stepped in front of Litha, instinct kicking in hard. "Get behind me!" Litha gasped softly, eyes wide. The beast charged. Kaelor shoved Litha back, raised his arms, braced himself, and the creature stopped, dead still, then began purring. Litha sighed. "Kaelor, this is our clan pet!" He blinked. "Pet?" The beast rolled onto its back, demanding belly rubs the size of a crime scene. Kaelor dropped his head into his hands. "I almost fought a giant cat demon dog thing." "Yes," Elder Sithri said proudly. "And you showed protectiveness. Trial passed." Litha smiled softly at him. "You shielded me." "I thought it was going to eat you," he muttered. "Still counts." The clan erupted into celebration, lifting tiny lanterns and tossing flower petals into the air. Sithri raised her voice. "The bond is affirmed." Kaelor blinked. "Affirmed? That sounds permanent." Litha grabbed his hand tightly. "It is, if you accept." He stared at her, this chaos creature. This fearless tiny warrior who leaped off rocks, fought vines, insulted predators, and glowed every time he looked at her too long. His heart made a decision without asking him. But before he could speak, A distant thunder cracked the sky. The clan froze. Sithri's ears lifted sharply. Something approaches. Litha's smile faded. That's not our clan. Kalor frowned. What is it? From deep in the jungle, a metallic roar shook the air. Litha grabbed Kalor's shirt. Kalor, run! From what? The trees behind them split apart as a gleaming machine emerged. Towering silver, humming with lethal energy. Litha whispered the words like a curse. The hunters. Kalor's stomach dropped. Who are they? Not who. Her voice trembled. What? The machine locked on them. Litha grabbed Kalor's hand. Run, she repeated. Then, the jungle exploded into chaos. The jungle night felt suspiciously romantic, the sort of atmosphere that made even mosquitoes buzz in a seductive rhythm. Lyrani perched by the lantern in their tent, tail swishing restlessly, while Orion rummaged through a duffel bag like a man trying to negotiate peace treaties with socks. So, she said, stretching out with dramatic flair, are we going to discuss what happened? Or are you going to pretend your heroic rescue massage was purely medical? Orion froze mid-rummage. I was helping. You said your dorsal scales were in existential agony. They were, she said, sliding closer. But you were also blushing so hard your bloodstream turned into tomato soup. He cleared his throat. That's because you kept making noises. She blinked innocently. Pain noises. You were purring. Alien physiology, not my fault. He sat beside her, shoulders gently slumping. Look, I care about you, okay? But everything feels complicated. You're a tiny green warrior with lethal instincts. I'm a guy who once lost a fight with a collapsible camping chair. She softly poked his chest. Exactly why I like you. You're chaos. I'm precision. Together we're precision chaos. Very deadly, very adorable. He laughed. We could be in danger tomorrow. The Terraphage tracker is still out there. Oh yes, she nodded gravely. The gigantic biomech monster that wants to eat both of us. Truly terrifying. Then she smirked. But you know what's more? Terrifying? What? Two people liking each other and pretending they don't. He stared at her, heart thudding like it was trying to break gravitational laws. You're not wrong. Outside, something growled. Probably the Terraphage. Definitely bad timing. Lyrani breathed out, grabbed her stun dagger and said, If that's our doom, fine. But if I die before we talk properly, I swear I'll haunt your shower. He lifted a brow. My shower? Where humans are most vulnerable and most unclothed. Perfect haunting conditions. Noted. The growling grew louder. Orion stood, adrenaline kicking in. Lyrani hopped onto his shoulder like a fierce shoulder-mounted war fairy. Ready? She asked. No. Good. That means you'll survive. They burst out of the tent. Orion with a plasma flare, Lyrani brandishing her dagger like she was born for dramatic camera angles. The Terraphage lunged from the shadows, glowing veins pulsing like malfunctioning nightclub lights. Orion stumbled backward. Lyrani leaped forward with warrior shrieks that sounded suspiciously cute. Orion tackled her aside, yelling, You're too small to fight that alone. Yes, but I look magnificent trying, the monster roared. The ground shook. Orion grabbed the emergency detonation capsule from his belt, an extremely unstable device that absolutely should not be held by nervous humans. Lyrani's eyes widened. Orion, that thing detonates with the force of, Yeah, I know, I read the manual. You skimmed the manual. Same thing. With a yell that was 20% bravery and 80% panic, he hurled the capsule at the Terraphage's chest. A blinding flash swallowed the clearing. When the smoke cleared, the jungle sizzled. The Terraphage was a heap of sizzling metal, and Orion and Lyrani were sprawled on the ground, he on his back, she on his chest. She coughed. You ridiculously reckless human. You saved us, he wheezed. I think my organs filed for workers' compensation. But she smiled, soft and relieved, pressing her forehead to his. You terrified me. I thought I'd lose you. You're stuck with me, he whispered. She kissed his nose, because her species considered that scandalously intimate. Good, because I wasn't done flirting? He grinned. Me neither. Then, with jungle birds chirping like gossiping aunties, Lirani curled against him and murmured, Orion, yeah, if you ever throw an explosive again without telling me first, I will personally remove your kneecaps. East romantically? Yes, very romantically, he sighed. We're so doomed, hopelessly, she whispered, but together. The jungle night was way too quiet. That suspicious, ominous kind of quiet that suggested the universe was taking notes for a future disaster documentary titled, Why Humans Shouldn't Be Allowed Unsupervised on Alien Planets. Orion stood outside the small camp tent adjusting the lantern, trying to find a setting that didn't make everything look like a murder scene. Lirani sat cross-legged inside, arms crossed, tail tapping in a rhythm that said, I am annoyed, interested, judgmental, and terribly curious all at the same time. Are you going to come inside? She called. Or are you waiting for the jungle to write you a formal invitation? I'm making sure the perimeter is safe, he said. Or, she teased, you're avoiding talking to me. He froze mid-turn, caught like a raccoon in philosophical headlights. She arched a brow ridge. Thought so. He walked into the tent with a sigh that carried the tone of a man walking into both danger and feelings at the same time. Which was worse? Hard to say. He sat down across from her. She immediately scooted closer, which was impressive, considering she moved like a cute little ninja. Her small size made her movements sharp, quick, and ridiculously precise. Unlike Orion, who moved like a man constantly negotiating with gravity. So, she began, leaning in so close her forehead nearly bonked his chin. Are we going to discuss what happened earlier, or are you going to pretend your medical intervention was purely professional? He raised a finger. It was medical. It involved rubbing my dorsal scales while laughing nervously and refusing to make eye contact. You were making sounds. It was pain. You were purring. That's physiology. She protested, cheeks darkening to a shade he had learned meant embarrassed but pretending not to be. He swallowed. Look, Lirani, I didn't want to overstep, she blinked. You literally picked me up by my waist earlier because I stepped on a vine. That vine hissed at me. It was a leaf. It sounded hostile. Her tail flicked him in the ribs. You're ridiculous. And you make me nervous, he admitted quietly. She froze, comically, like someone had hit the pause button on a very dramatic video. Then she leaned even closer, voice dropping into a silky, teasing register that sent his thought process into reboot. Good. Being nervous means you care. He rubbed the back of his neck. Maybe I care too much. Impossible, she whispered. Have you seen yourself? You trip over your own boots. You apologize to trees when you walk into them. That is not the behavior of a man who knows how to care too much. That is the behavior of a man who needs supervision. Wow. Romance. Alien style. It's called flirting. You guys have weird flirting. We also have excellent accuracy when throwing knives. He stared. Is that a threat or a promise? Both, she smirked. A crackling sound echoed in the jungle, somewhere to their right, which made Orion jerk up like someone had electrified him. Lirani grabbed her dagger instantly, tail bristling. That sounded big, he whispered. Or angry, or hungry. She nodded. Great, something big, angry, and hungry. My favorite combination. Then she grabbed his collar lightly and whispered, If we survive the night, I'm going to scold you for that rescue stunt. He blinked. What stunt? The part where you threw yourself in front of the pterophage earlier like some kind of overcaffeinated bodyguard. I panicked. You panic very heroically. Before he could argue, something massive moved in the shadows. Orion stood. Yep, that's the pterophage. Lirani hopped onto his shoulder, her usual battle position, which always made him feel like someone had strapped a very cute, very dangerous action figure to him. "Ready?" she whispered. "Not even a little bit. Perfect. Humans fight better when terrified." "Pretty sure we don't. You scream and run faster." "Fair." The monster burst from the undergrowth, metallic plating gleaming under the lantern glow, glowing veins pulsing like angry neon intestines. Its maw split open with a roar that suggested it absolutely did not want to discuss things peacefully. Orion raised his plasma flare. Leilani raised her dagger. The terraphage raised the global threat level by several notches. Leilani leapt first. Of course she did, flinging herself toward the monster's face with a battle cry that sounded 40% terrifying, 60% adorable. She landed on its snout and stabbed an exposed circuit. The monster shrieked. Orion panicked. He sprinted forward. Realized sprinting toward a killing machine was stupid. Changed direction mid-stride. Tripped over his own foot, spun like a confused pretzel, and somehow body-checked the terraphage's knee. It worked. He had no idea how. The monster stumbled back. Leilani yelled, "What was that move?" "I don't know." "It was effective." "Accidentally." "Do it again." "I don't know how." The creature lunged, and Orion did the only logical thing a human could do when panicking around alien biomechanical horrors. He grabbed the unstable emergency detonation capsule. Leilani screamed. "Orion, that device explodes with the force of—" "I know. You didn't read the manual." "I skimmed it." "Skimming is not reading. It's like reading, but faster and deadlier." The terraphage charged. Orion threw the capsule. It hit the monster's chest. A blast of white light vaporized half the clearing. When the smoke cleared, Orion found himself flat on his back with Leilani sprawled across his chest, clutching his jacket like she was trying not to let his organs escape. Her hair, tendrils, filaments, were flared in every direction, and her eyes were wide with panic, anger, relief, and something dangerously close to affection. "You absolute, insane, reckless, heroic idiot!" she yelled, shaking him by the collar. He groaned. "Is that a compliment?" "No, maybe!" "Shut up!" She collapsed onto him, breathing fast. He lifted a hand and brushed a stray tendril from her face. She froze again. Same dramatic, adorable pause. "Leilani," he whispered, "are you okay?" "I'm furious. So, not okay?" "I'm also relieved." "And grateful." "And—" Her voice caught, and she pressed her forehead to his chin. "Terrified of losing you." He blinked. "You thought were worried about me?" "Obviously. Who else would carry me through the jungle?" "I'm small. My legs are short. My stride is 6 inches." He snorted. "So it's practical concern." "And emotional," she muttered. "You care." She squeezed his jacket tighter. "Do not make me say it. I care too." "I noticed," she whispered. He smiled softly. "You jumped on the terraphage's face. You ran at it screaming. You stabbed it. You body-checked it." He groaned. "Please don't ever tell anyone that." "I won't," she said. It was too ridiculous to explain. She looked up at him, and they were so close their breaths mixed. Her pupils dilated slightly, which he knew by now meant something between affection and "I'm experiencing romantic distress." Then she murmured, "If you ever throw an explosive without warning me again, I swear I will remove your kneecaps." "Romantically?" he teased weakly. She nodded. "Yes, very romantically." He sighed dramatically. "We're doomed. We are," she whispered, curling into him. "Hopelessly." A distant growl rumbled somewhere. Orion tensed. "Another monster?" "No," she said, laying her head on his chest. "Just jungle wildlife." "The wildlife here sounds like it wants to file taxes using our bones," she smirked. "You'll protect me. Like hell I will. You're the fighter." "You have the bigger body. You can shield me. It's simple physics. That's not—" She poked his cheek. "Shh. Let me enjoy being the small one." He laughed, wrapping an arm around her carefully. "You're dangerous for someone the size of a backpack. And you're dangerous for someone with the reflexes of a stunned potato. Yet here we are," he said. "Together," she whispered. "Yeah," he murmured. "Together." She tucked herself against him, tail coiling over his waist like a protective belt. He blinked. Are you buckling me in? In case another monster appears, she said. So this is an alien seatbelt? Yes, with cuddling, correct, he grinned. Best seatbelt ever, she exhaled softly. Orion, I'm glad you're alive. Me too. Don't scare me like that again. Then stop jumping on monsters. No. Figures. She snuggled closer. If you die, I will kill you. That doesn't even make sense. It's a threat of affection. He chuckled. I like your threats. Good, she whispered, because I'm not done. A beat of silence passed, warm, comfortable, filled with unspoken electricity. Then she whispered, Orion? Yeah? If you ever flirt with disaster again, flirt with me first. He blinked. Hard. That I can do. Good, she sighed, finally relaxing completely on his chest. Because we're hopeless and doomed, and I like it. And for the first time that night, the jungle didn't feel dangerous. It felt like theirs. 2 days after the terraphage exploded into a pile of sizzling scrap metal, the jungle finally remembered it was supposed to be peaceful. Birds chirped like gossipy aunties, leaves fluttered like they were applauding, and Orion continued walking. Through the humid green wilderness with the posture of a man who had not slept in 48 hours because a tiny alien warrior kept using his chest as a mattress. Lirani sat on his shoulder, arms crossed, tail curled possessively around the back of his neck like she owned him, which, to be fair, she probably did now, emotionally, spiritually, geographically. He glanced at her. You're awfully quiet today. She sighed dramatically. Because if I talk too much, you trip over trees. I tripped over one tree. It was horizontal, on the ground, unmoving, and somehow you still lost the fight. He squinted. It was a very convincing log. She smirked. Adorable, terrifying, completely incompetent. My favorite combination. He snorted. You really know how to boost a man's confidence. I'm boosting your survival instincts, she said, tapping her dagger. If I flatter you too much, you'll get reckless trying to impress me. He blinked. You think I try to impress you? She leaned forward until her face was inches from his. You jumped in front of a biomechanical beast the size of a starship engine. Yes, I think you try to impress me. He coughed. Maybe a little. She smiled softly. Idiot. They reached the small clearing where the extraction beacon flickered, a tiny metal node planted in the ground, humming like it was bored. Orion activated it with a tap. Blue light shot upward, signaling rescue. Someone will pick us up in 20 minutes, he said. Lirani didn't react. Even when he shifted his shoulder to shake her lightly, she remained curled, quiet, staring at the sky like she was thinking too hard. Hey, he whispered. You okay? No. He froze. What's wrong? She fidgeted. Rare, nervous, and absolutely heart-melting. Orion, when the ship comes, what happens next? You go back to your people. I go back to mine. He stared at her. Do you want to leave? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she pressed her forehead to his jaw, her species equivalent of a hug, kiss, emotional confession, and mild territorial claim all wrapped into one. I want to stay with you, she whispered. The words hit him like someone had thrown a warm star at his chest. He placed a hand gently over her back, thumb brushing the base of her tail. Then stay. She looked up sharply. Your people won't like that. Mine won't either. He shrugged. Your people already don't like me. My people already don't like me. So we're consistent. She blinked. Twice. Then laughed, a soft, breathy sound she rarely allowed herself. Orion, you're impossible. You started it. You jumped into danger for me. You stabbed danger for me. She blushed. Yes, well, stabbing is easier. The beacon hummed louder, rescue ship approaching. Lirani bit her lip. If I stay with you, I will be small on a ship full of giants. I will be surrounded by humans who walk too loud and talk too much and have enormous hands. You like my hands, he said smugly. She slapped his chest. Be serious. You said it during your pain-purring episode. I was delirious. You said, I will cut your collarbone. He grinned. See, you'll fit right in. Her tail wrapped around his wrist. You would protect me? He didn't hesitate. Always. She stared at him, a long, quiet moment, then slowly slid down his shoulder and into his arms, standing on the forest floor. She placed her tiny hand on his chest, right over his heartbeat. I believe you, she whispered. A roar of thrusters grew overhead. The rescue ship descended through the canopy. Wind tore through the clearing, leaves spiraling, light flooding through like the universe was opening a door. Lirani stepped closer, gripping his shirt with her small but fierce hands. Orion? Yeah? If any human woman tries to flirt with you on that ship? Yes? I'll stab her, he coughed. Romantically? She nodded seriously. Aggressively romantically. He leaned down, forehead resting against hers. Deal! The rescue hatch opened. A ramp lowered. A crew member waved. Survivors, over here! Orion picked Lirani up without asking. She didn't protest. She clung tighter. You ready? He asked. No, she whispered. But I'll go anywhere with you. He smiled and stepped aboard. Behind them, the jungle grew quiet again, as if relieved that the two most chaotic beings in the region were finally someone else's problem. But just before the hatch closed, she whispered one more thing. Orion? Yeah? If disaster follows us, it will. Good, she said, settling into his arms with a smug smile. Because so will I. The ship ascended, the jungle vanished beneath them, and somewhere deep in the stars, destiny groaned, rubbed its temples, and braced itself for whatever. Romantic, comedic, explosive chaos this human and his tiny alien whirlwind would unleash next.